I'm sure most of us are familiar with working in a hot environment. If we work outdoors in direct sunlight doing agricultural work, construction, landscaping, or maintenance, or if we work indoors in a hot environment such as a warehouse, factory, or manufacturing plant, the heat can have an effect on all of us. For our body to function properly, it needs to be at a nice, comfortable 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit. And to do this, the human body has its own built-in cooling system. It's called perspiration, or better known as sweat. Fortunately, when high temperatures, humidity, or overstimulated nerves inflict the body and then cause our body temperature to rise, the body itself will automatically begin to perspire. If our body is unable to sweat to cool itself down, the body temperature will continue to rise to unhealthy levels. And this can lead to heat illnesses, such as heat cramps, heat exhaustion, or heat stroke. On top of that, as our body temperature climbs, our ability to think clearly is compromised, and we can easily become irritated, irrational, or possibly violent. And this too can lead to possible workplace hazards and job-related injuries. During the next several minutes, we're going to spend some time understanding the hazards of working in the heat. We're also going to discuss how we can potentially minimize the hazards that come with working in a hot environment. Essentially, if we gain a solid understanding of how the body works and then begin to work with our body, we can easily maintain our optimum health while working in these extreme working conditions. There are a few simple things you can do to help prevent the risk of a heat-related illness. The first is to dress appropriately. Wear lightweight or light-colored clothing. It helps to reflect away some of the sun's rays, whereas dark colors attract them. Obviously, attracting the sun will only make you hotter. It's also a good idea to keep your head covered. Wear a hat or something lightweight to cover your head. Now, when the air temperature is lower than your skin temperature, the hot air coming off your body can be trapped by your clothing, creating an oven-like effect. And this can cause your body temperature to climb even higher. So, if your occupation permits, it's recommended to wear loose or breathable clothing, and this will allow the hot air from your body to escape into the air around you and keep you cool. On the other hand, when the air temperature is above 98.6 degrees, your clothing actually helps, kind of like a barrier, by keeping the cooler air near your body and the hot air away. However, this advantage may be worthless if the clothes you're wearing are tight and interfere with the evaporation of your sweat. It's very common to find that most workers exposed to hot conditions drink less fluids than they should. It's usually because most people rely on their thirst drives to tell them when to drink. And this explains why many heat disorders are usually the result of excessive dehydration. Now, during the course of a day's work in the heat, a worker may produce as much as 2 to 3 gallons of sweat. Therefore, it's important that you not just rely on thirst to signal when and how much to drink. It's recommended that you replenish your lost fluids by drinking 5 to 7 ounces every 15 to 20 minutes. And one little side note, if you're getting fluid from a water cooler, never share a drinking cup with someone else or drink directly from the cooler itself. Now, I bet you're thinking that during the course of a hot, sweaty workday, a cold, frosted beer sounds like a good idea to quench your thirst, right? But that should be avoided, along with caffeinated drinks like soda, coffee, and energy drinks. Alcohol and caffeine are ingredients that dehydrate the body, which is the very thing that we're trying to prevent from happening in the first place. Liquids such as water or sports drinks are highly recommended. Sports drinks contain many important nutrients like electrolytes, salt, and other related vitamins and minerals, which will replenish what was either burned off or sweated out of the body. A quick way to monitor whether you're hydrated enough is to look at your urine. If it's yellow, you need to drink more liquids. If it's clear, well, you're doing well with keeping yourself hydrated. There are many different types of environments that can create a heat-related illness. One obvious environment is the weather, or heat from the sun. When you hear the expression dry heat, it's referring to when the temperature outside is high and the atmosphere lacks moisture or humidity. And then there's humid heat. Humidity is the measure of moisture in the air, and it's often apparent in high temperatures with overcast skies, which can usually lead to a forecast for thunderstorms. So, be careful that you're not fooled by a cloudy day regarding dry heat versus humid heat. Both of these can still create an environment for many health or heat-related illnesses. A heat-related illness can also occur within many industrial workplaces, such as manufacturing, warehouses, and factories. On excessively hot days, these environments may have difficulty circulating cool air through large open areas, and this can create an environment where, over time, the temperature indoors becomes higher than a person's body temperature. In most situations, it is possible to continue working without much trouble, but it is strongly recommended that you frequent areas that would allow your body to cool down to its more normal temperature. Additional risks may exist if you tend to work long shifts or do strenuous manual labor in the heat. Vigorously worked muscles create energy. And without going into Einstein's E=mc² formula, just remember that heat is a part of the energy your muscles are creating, not just strength. And in the end, this self-generated body heat is another contributing factor to consider in regulating your body temperature. Just remember to take adequate breaks and keep yourself hydrated. Finally, you can also be at risk if you have certain medical conditions, are overweight, have a low salt diet, take sleeping pills, or take certain types of medication. It's important to inform your supervisor and medical advisor about any medication you may be taking and ask how it may affect your ability to work in a heat-related environment. By definition, heat stress is a global term for an overall group of conditions due to overexposure or overexertion in extreme environmental temperatures. There are about half a dozen types of illnesses related to heat stress, some that are relatively minor and some that are much more serious. The three that we're going to focus on are heat cramps, heat exhaustion, and heat stroke. Each of these conditions have varying stages of danger, but if we're able to identify the symptoms to each of these illnesses properly, we can take the necessary steps in making a big difference in the treatment and safety of the victim. Heat cramps are a very common heat-related illness. They're painful muscle spasms, usually in the arms, stomach, or legs. Heat cramps happen during the workday or even afterwards, like when you're at home trying to relax. The cramping is usually caused by sodium depletion, which is the absence of adequate salt in your body. The loss of salt is part of the dehydration process. Remember, your sweat is a combination of water, salt, and some minor bacteria. So with heat cramps, you've more than likely sweated out the necessary salt your body needs. You can help prevent the possibility of a heat cramp by drinking sports drinks that contain electrolytes. And if you do encounter a heat cramp, try to eat potassium-rich foods, such as bananas, apricots, spinach, mixed nuts, or drink some tomato juice. The potassium will help to relax the muscles and relieve you from the pain of the muscle cramps. Heat exhaustion is much more serious than a heat cramp. It begins to occur when the body's natural air conditioning system, sweating, becomes overworked and is in danger of failing. Basically, when you don't replace all of your lost fluids, such as water, and have a depletion of salt, electrolytes, vitamins, and minerals from sweating, you can fall victim to heat exhaustion. Some of the common symptoms to look out for are fatigue, blurred vision, confusion or anxiety, agitation, heavy sweating accompanied by cold, clammy skin, nausea, headaches, dizziness, fainting, excessive thirst, loss of appetite, muscles, aches and cramps, physically weak, hyperventilation or rapid shallow breathing, a weak pulse and rapid heart rate, and a tingling sensation in the hands and feet and a body temperature above 100 degrees. You can spot someone falling victim to heat exhaustion if they appear to be too sweaty, pale, worn out looking, or if they begin to vomit. When you see these symptoms, contact your supervisor immediately and have them seek medical attention as soon as possible. Now, while waiting for assistance, have the affected worker stop all activity and be taken to a cool resting place out of direct sunlight. They should lie down with their feet slightly elevated. Remove or loosen any unnecessary clothing to help the skin breathe. It's necessary to cool the person down gradually as soon as possible. This must be done safely. Tossing someone into a pool of water or dousing them with buckets of water could cool them down too quickly. And if that occurs, the victim can be put into a state of shock, and that will do more damage than good. Rather, apply ice packs to the neck and armpits to cool the body down gradually. These are sensitive areas and they're connected right to major arteries and nerve endings. And by icing these areas, you will cool the body quickly and gradually and safely. They should also begin to rehydrate as soon as possible by drinking water or sports drinks. Avoid icy or very chilled drinks though, as very chilled drinks can cool down the inner body much too rapidly and worsen the situation. Heat exhaustion does require immediate attention, but it is usually not life-threatening. If left untreated though, it can lead to a much more serious and life-threatening situation known as heat stroke, which is the worst heat illness, also referred to as sunstroke. This is a very severe condition. It's very life-threatening. Heat stroke, if not correctly identified and treated, or if there's a delay in getting immediate medical attention, could lead to possible brain damage or it could lead to death. That is why it is considered a medical emergency and does require immediate medical attention. Now, until help arrives, move the victim to a cool area and remove any excess clothing. It's important to begin lowering the victim's temperature as soon as possible because every second counts. Use the ice packs to cool them down. Fan and spray them with cool water. Offer them sips of water if the victim is conscious, but do not immerse them in water or put their head underwater. If their temperature suddenly plummets, the victim could risk losing consciousness. Heat stroke happens when the body has been completely depleted of all water and salt and sweating has ceased. Heat cramps and heat exhaustion symptoms, they may come first, but there is the possibility to suffer from a heat stroke without showing those symptoms at all. Oftentimes, heat stroke is mistaken as a heart attack, but some of the more common symptoms of heat stroke include decreased sweating, decreased urination, blood in the urine or stool, loss of consciousness, convulsions, and increased body temperature, usually of 104 degrees or higher. A person may feel cool on the outside to the touch, but their body may actually be cooking on the inside out. A temperature of 108 degrees could be reached, causing possible death within hours. Their mouth may feel dry and their tongue may swell, causing every swallow to feel as if they might start choking. Their mouth may also appear pale instead of a healthy pink or red. If the victim does begin to have seizures, they may collapse and become unconscious. If this does happen, do not move them. Call for help immediately. At the end of the day, you want to be able to go home the same way you came to work, healthy and whole. Your organization may provide you with a lot of tools, training, and protection to keep you safe, but ultimately, safety is your responsibility. Therefore, it's recommended that you take every step possible to ensure yourself a safe, healthy life at work and at home. When it comes to the heat, there is no reason for you to get burned. Rather, be cool. Remember to dress appropriately, drink the proper fluids to stay hydrated, and take a break to cool down.